Following the events of the previous episode, Dr. Jackson suggests the idea that the Norse gods, in more particular Thor, were a race of unknown aliens that visited Earth in the past and helped the Tari to fight against the Goa'uld. Teal'c revealed that he has seen Thor's hammer before. The Goa'uld have taught the Jaffa warriors the coordinates to a planet where this symbol is placed and, under any circumstances, is forbidden to enter. Hammond immediately greenlights the mission and SG-1 steps through the gate. Meeting them on the other side is, well, with a lot of fantasy, it might resemble Thor's Hammer of Legends, but the tip is not big enough. Oh well. SG-1, after stepping through the gate, is being laughed at by local inhabitants while the tiny hammer targets Teal'c. Colonel O'Neill jumps in to help and they are teleported away, as Captain Carter and Daniel are a little confused as to why everybody is running away. It doesn't take long for a woman on horseback coming riding down the hillside.
You're a little short for gods.
The woman introduces herself as Gerwin, portrayed by Tamsin Kelsey, and tells them that the hammer transports the demons to a forbidden cave. Everything is forbidden these days. Captain Carter tells her that they've come from Earth, which Daniel quickly rephrases as Midgar, and Gerwin describes her people as fellow brothers and sisters. The Viking tells the two that it is prophesied that Thor will one day return, once the Cimmerians have grown older, and that he would never kill a human. Gerwin tells them about a survivor of Thor's hammer named Kendra. Thus, they go on a quest to find her. Meanwhile, Colonel O'Neill and Teal'c wake up in a dark cave. Thor, portrayed by Mark Gibbon, introduces himself as the Supreme Commander of the Asgard fleet. He says that the planet they're currently on is designated Cimmeria, and that it's a protected world by the decree of 40.73.29, and that the Goa'uld system lords have been informed by that. The punishment for the crimes is death. Jack is a little disappointed that they got the welcoming hologram instead of the real thing. Finally, Thor tells them that the only way out is to go through the symbiote smiting hammer at the end of the dungeon. Okay, first off, this isn't exactly the kind of Thor I had in mind so far. I mean, instead of, well, this? You get a bureaucrat rattling down a bunch of laws, rounded up with a kind-hearted, sucks to be you, and bitches the hell out. Honestly, I'm not quite sure so far which idea I like more. Imagine if this was pushed to its extreme. By the decree of 40.73.29.13.17.05.92.38.67.04.38.91.0. Sam and Daniel get 500 experience points and witness Kendra healing a kid using a Goa'uld hand device. Gerwin introduces the duo and Kendra tells them about her past as a former Goa'uld host. She tells them that humans can leave the Forbidden Cave unharmed, but Jaffa might have a bit of a literal bowel movement at their hands. Kendra screams at the sky for a bit and agrees to help them. Okay then. Back in the cave, Teal'c's staff doesn't work anymore, which is when suddenly a howling growl echoes in the darkness. Wow, that didn't take so long, we're back with Kendra and crew. The former host tells Carter and Jackson about being taken as a host by the Goa'uld Marduk, and she spent years using her former priestess training to overcome the snake's control. She knew about Thor's hammer and slowly seduced the Goa'uld into coming to Cimmeria for the promise of riches and slaves. But all she really wanted was to die. Thor's hammer freed her from the symbiote and she devoted her life to the Norse gods in return. Revenge of the Cave. O'Neill and Teal'c are cornered by Oh my sweet Jesus! Acted by Vincent Hammond and voiced by James Earl Jones.
Java. I am Unas, the first one.
You do not exist.
Jack gives Unas a load of his most famous appetizer, caviar alla ferro. The former First Prime checks Unas' pulse and determines its death, But as they leave, an ominous glow simmers from the creature's eyes. Oblivious, the Jafar tells the Colonel about that creature being the first host to the gold, and that the place of that species in history has become nothing more than a myth, similar to the tales of vampires. Or rather, it was a myth, and Teal'c still has doubts whether or not Unas is truly dead based on the legends told among his people. We return to Kendra, who tells Dr. Jackson that if he brings Shari to Samaria, she will be saved. Captain Carter doubts whether or not this entire ordeal is a bunch of bullshit or not, leading to an argument with Daniel about the possibility of the supernatural, with Daniel shutting the argument down after being accused of bias because he wants to save his wife. Cutting back to the cave, Unas is literally pulling bullets with its fingernails and he's royally pissed off. It reapproaches the two warriors but ends up in a similar way as before. Jack finds the way out but oversees the giant religious symbol he just walked through. Turns out, this is Thor's hammer and it's deadly to Jafar. It comes down to Jack and Teal'c versus Unas.
Are you considering the same tactic as I?
Teal'c, the cliche is, are you thinking what I'm thinking? The answer is yes.
O'Neill is caught off guard by the creature's speed, forcing the Jafar into melee combat, and he barely manages to push Unas in front of the hammer, at which point it's guns blazing and hoping it dies first. Kendra and crew reach the cave entrance and hear gunfire, but can't enter the cave as there's no door or anything like that. O'Neill and Teal'c run out of ammo and Unas isn't dead. Well, there goes plan A, I suppose. Teal'c improvises and throws himself at Unas, pushing them both into the hammer. Jack barely manages to get his mate out of the dead zone when Daniel and Carter arrive, although they're too late to the party. Unas is dead, but Teal'c still can't get out. Daniel tries to convince the rest of SG-1 that the hammer is too valuable to destroy, and Teal'c agrees, but O'Neill calls the Jafar a member of the family and orders Dr. Jackson to destroy Thor's hammer. He, who has just been mentioned, thanks the archaeologist, but the doctor still regrets his actions. SG-1 returns to the gate and tells the Sumerians that even with the hammer destroyed, they should still be safe because the system lords don't know about the planet being vulnerable. I have a few questions about that, but it's over. And that was the 9th episode of the first season of Stargate SG-1. Honestly, this episode is a bunch of fun. Unas not only looks awesome because he is not CGI, but also has a banger of a voice. The lore introduced in this episode opens up a whole new area of possibilities for storytelling, and even the existence of Unas becomes important later on. Actually, this episode ends up being relevant for the entire rest of the series to come. With that in mind, I hope you had an enjoyable time watching. As of right now, my daily schedule becomes a bit bloated again, so if you enjoy these videos, you'll need a bit more patience for the foreseeable future. I may see you next time with another episode of Stargate SG-1. Have a good one.